This is a video about the events that led up to my surgery and what I experienced during surgery. Now, those that know me know that I take pretty good care of myself health-wise. Care about my body. My motto is, I want to walk to my death. So, for the last 40 years, probably while I was working out, I achieved the goals that I set for myself. But there was that feeling that I had gotten when I was in my early 20s. And recently, I had experienced that feeling again. And I was enjoying my workout. I could feel the muscles coming alive, the cells. I was learning to communicate with them again. So when the pressure started in my chest, I could easily interpret it as being new life. I'm becoming more aware of my chest muscles, cells, and molecules. Because if you get a good pump, I mean, it's like you can feel the thickness of the muscle. You can feel every fiber in it. And as I said lately, I've been experiencing that, and it was marvelous, marvelous. So when that tightness started, and it didn't take my breath away, it didn't make me weak, it just gave me that compressed feeling. And I said, wow. But then one day, I started getting these earaches. And I attributed that to lack of water. I've had severely dehydrated myself all the time. I never drank that much water in Florida, or just enough to keep from sweating. And so consequently, I've sometimes got too low. I used to get some terrible headaches as a result of it. But anyway, so I attributed that pain in my ears to a water problem. And the cramp in my jaw, same way, water, not enough potassium. But when it woke me up at 5 in the morning, I knew it was time for a second opinion. But I had already committed myself to something was wrong. Incidentally, when I committed myself, Sue was working, my wife, so I didn't want her to come home and not find me here and not know what to do. So I called her at work and told her that I was calling 911. And then I hung up, called 911, and my wife was there 2 minutes faster than the rescue. Incredible, isn't it? I mean, blew me away. Even in the situation I was in, my wife beat them there. Anyway, so then I went to the emergency room, and they gave me the aspirin and got me high, so I wasn't too concerned about what was going on because I couldn't really feel my body. And then they started talking to you, like, oh, I know you're feeling fine, but I recommend that you stay, And they're saying this in a way like they're trying to manipulate you, instead of just saying, bam, 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 here's the facts, And then this is my recommendation on top of it. Started doing this little dance. Anyway, that's what I saw it, my answer to all this is, have you guys done everything that you can do to justify me getting up and walking out of here? Can you give me enough answers? Because if you can't give me enough answers, I want a second opinion. I know there's something wrong. I know that I woke up this morning at 5 o'clock like I've never waken up before in my life. So, it kicked me upstairs. Took blood test. First blood test came back nice. And within 15 minutes of the second blood test, the doctor was in and said, we're shipping you out. And you got enzyme problems in your blood, which indicated his heart was all wacko. So I get over to Altman, and I got to stay a whole night. They're going to do one of those exploratory things, see if they can bust out or whatever, see the problem and correct it, going up through my groin. And that was okay with me. I mean, if that's all it was, that's okay with me. But it turned out to be not what they thought it was. They needed to perform open heart bypass surgery. And they said they would do it tomorrow. So I had time to think about it. And I knew they were going to put me out. You know, get me high enough so I wouldn't feel the pain. But what I didn't know was they were going to stop my heart. I mean, and you know, actually, you know, it has to be stopped in order for them to work on it, because otherwise it would be very difficult for them to do a sewing job on it. So I was unaware of that as I went down to get operated on. And they put you on one of these tables, quite not as, you know how you see them in these executions, where they put the guy on the table like that. Well, in the TV, the table is much wider than the one they stick you on in this room. Lift your legs up, and bam, it's over. Now, like I said, I didn't know I was going to be disconnected from my heart, because your heart has a particular rhythm, and it gives you a sense of security. It allows your consciousness to hold on to something. So, I'm going out, and you go out much quicker than you come back. And I went out, and I was conscious, but I wasn't aware. I was there, but me, Terry, wasn't. It didn't even enter my mind who I was. It was just me, this guy, this person, this thing that I believe I am. But it had nothing attached to it. It wasn't attached to anything. It wasn't thinking. It was like saying I, and in the sound of the I, it knew it existed. Crazy. And then, what I believe happened is they reconnected my own heart to my body. And I recognized the beat. And the beat goes on. So that was my experience. And I'll tell you something. When I came back to consciousness, like everything was black. And then, you know, I don't know if any of you guys can relate to this, but when you defrag your hard drive, the little squares come fill in, and they do flipping around, stuff like that. Well, that's the way I saw my mind, my consciousness becoming aware of because I was conscious without being aware. And now I was rerouting my awareness to the beat of my heart. And as the little blocks started filling in, I started seeing symbols which represented problems. And I tried to find my mouse so I could click on them, because I knew how to solve the problems, but I couldn't. And then the nurses in the background were talking, so new problems were jumping into my mind, and I mean, I had to get into their conversation so they'd leave the area and give me some peace and quiet. They were driving me nuts with these idiotic little conversations. It wasn't even about medicine, it was about their daily lives. But, I mean, it was marvelous. It was marvelous watching my awareness and my consciousness and that's all she wrote.